Hey, welcome back here to the Central PA Pour. I am Brett.
I'm Dave.
And as you can see, we're missing a couple of our crew. Ben is out. He's unavailable. And Kevin is traveling once again. So he is not here. So you are stuck with Dave and myself here for this episode. And
Yep, that's being stuck.
however, we have a special guest in here with us, and we are happy to have him. We met him a few weeks ago out at downtown York, so we are going to let him introduce himself. Welcome to the Central PA Pour.
Thank you. Thrilled to be here. Thanks for the invitation. My name is Emery Pager. I'm an Ohio native that has moved into this area and opened Scrubby's brewery and tap room. I'm the brewer, owner, electrician,
Man of all.
Everything, yeah.
Yep.
Jess helps a lot. That's my wife. So we brew out of our garage in Dallastown, and we serve out of the tap room in Red Lion Bowling.
Wow. So welcome.
Thank you.
We met you down at Brew Kids on the Block down at downtown York.
I think I shot at you that.
Yeah. So they had a whole hell of a lot of Nerf guns going.
Yes, they did.
I wouldn't want to be cleaning up that street. So how did you make out down there? I mean, did people come around? Did you get a lot of votes?
Yeah, it was, well, I don't think they were voting on us. I think the votes were for the homebrewers.
The homebrewers?
Yeah, I
okay.
think that's how that worked. But yeah, the response was great. People love beer. So
Yeah.
they were drinking it and digging it. So we had a good time. The guns helped. I really love what they did there to kind of create it's just a weird environment for everybody to play in.
Yeah. We had a lot of fun too, even though we had a little bit of technical issues trying to keep the internet and audio problems. But we had a lot of fun.
Yeah, we did.
And I think the setting up outside there, like in a little, what do you want to call it, lounge style was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was nice.
So hopefully when the weather wasn't the greatest, I think it would have been a huge event without the weather.
I agree. And first day NFL.
Well, I'm not a football fan, but so you're from Ohio, so I'm assuming you like all Cleveland sports.
Yeah.
Hey, you're Cleveland I almost screwed that up.
Right now they are playing the Yankees.
Yeah, so we'll discuss that a little bit later.
And yeah, the Browns, the poor Browns. I'm sorry, Cleveland fans. It never gets any better.
So you're in a bowling alley. And how did you get to a bowling alley for your brick and mortar?
Well, it was really luck, I would say. So I had a friend, Josh, who owned a pizza truck, really, really good pizza truck. Always loved his pizza. He's like, hey, let's get together and I'll make food, you make the beer, and see what happens. So we looked at a lot of places, talked about it, and nothing happened. It's just the pie wasn't big enough to slice for all the people that wanted it.
Right.
So he knew the health inspector that was inspecting the bowling alley. And the health inspector must have gone in and Mike Zelger, one of the three brothers that owns it, must have said, hey, we had a brewery of contract and it fell through. We need a brewer. That guy told Josh. Josh told me. I went in there. I met with Mike. And that day I told him I'm 100%.
Wow.
I said, there's nothing ever going to stop me because who's ever going to get a better offer than this? You know, I don't have to do anything with the bathroom. They do all the food. They mow the lawn. They shovel the snow. All I have to do is make beer. They do everything for me, basically. I am a tenant there. They really love having me. I love being there. And they really don't intervene with the directions I take them.
That's cool.
They let me do whatever I want. And should say the honeymoon is still on. It's owned by three brothers, Mike, Dave, and Tim. And we all get along really well. It's everything's good. It's a great place to be. I love it.
And I see you're just open like just over a year now.
July 3rd last year was our opening day.
So
which coincidentally is my grandfather's.
And we were going to get into that.
Yeah.
So that's where the name comes from.
That's serendipitous.
Right.
It was, well, we wanted to open obviously a year plus earlier. So the name, yes, is my grandfather, Scrubby, John Wozniak. He and my grandmother owned Scrubby's Bar in Lorain, Ohio when I was a kid. There's pictures of it on the website. It's a kind of a dumpy little bar, but you know, it was part of my life, part of my childhood, and I spent a lot of time there. and had a good relationship with my grandfather until he passed. So yeah, it was a no-brainer. When it came time to name the bar, we didn't really even think about it.
Oh,
It was just made sense.
that's awesome. So you've been around this pretty much your entire life.
Well, yes, I would. Okay, I love beer. I think that's how this all starts. But growing up in a bar did not hurt, obviously. And then, so I did work at Allegro Winery too, which gave me, primed me for a lot of the bullshit that
Right.
you have to go through, all the paperwork and the legalities and all that stuff. So I got my chops, whatever that saying is.
That's it.
Or whatever. Got my
Yeah.
chops. So, doing this on my own was not a big stretch.
It's cool. So did you start with, how did you get into it? Did you start like kit
man.
beers? Did you just jump in both feet?
So I think I mentioned this when we spoke New Kids or
Yeah.
Brew Kids. 1986, I asked my dorm RA if I could brew beer in the dorm room. So, I never thought it would ever come to anything like this, but the interest of the process was always there. And the interest in all styles of beer, I think, is what drove me. And you'll see from what I brought here. I'm not just an IPA guy,
Right.
this, that, or the other. I really do appreciate all styles of beer, except for the sour.
Oh, I saw that on your.
Yeah, that's something I can't get in.
But he knows I'm not particular about the sours either.
I love. You know what? It wasn't. It was one of those ventures for. Oh, it's like, I'll try it.
I keep trying.
I like it.
Do you?
Yeah, I do like certain ones. There's some that are. That's pretty cool, mate. Because you're. So, do you like everything you brew?
Except the sour.
Except the sours.
Yeah.
So.
I get asked most frequently what my favorite beer is. And I usually say it's the seasonals. And I think I put that in the interview because I know I can't have them a month from now. So I can go back and have this, that, and the other next week, next month, because I make them all the time. But when the pumpkin ale comes around or the winter ale or Oktoberfest, we just blew through Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
It's gone already. I can't believe it. And I had a good part in that because I drank a ton of it. so did everybody else. You look around and everybody's drinking Oktoberfest. It's
and we had our last episode with Luke was our Oktoberfest, and we had 4 different ones here, and every one was pretty much different.
Oh yeah, I love that style.
Yeah, Marzen, and it was the way they brewed them, and some were decent. We had a couple that were really good.
I wanted to bring it here.
Well, hey, if you shouldn't have drank it all.
Yeah, a couple less beers, you might.
Why would since you like to just told us that you just to make us interested in it?
Yeah. Well, there's always next year.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
I'll make a lot next
There you
year.
go.
There we go.
How much?
So besides your physical location, are you on social media, website, and all that stuff? Tell us where they can find you.
I'm kind of old. I miss the social media boat. I really dislike Facebook, but I have to be on it.
I missed it. I missed it too. I was standing in the dock while we both watched it go away.
Yeah.
Because I'm not social.
I still don't understand Instagram. Apparently it has to be a photo. That's all I know.
I'm not either.
But I force myself to get on there and promote everything we do. I still don't understand it, but I do my best.
Yeah. So is it at Scrubby's or how is your?
I don't know.
So what we'll do is
Google it. You'll find it.
I will find that out for you, and we will put that in the description so
Yeah.
people can find you on your social media. Not only at your physical, but they can look for it. Speaking of that, they can find us, Central PA Pour, at Central PA Pour on all our social media platforms. We are also on the major podcasts. You can look us up at Linktree as well. Thanks to Ben, our young guy, who takes care of that for us. Because, like Dave said, I'm on social media as well for my business, but I pay to do that for them. And they can email us if you want to be a guest or you got any questions or breweries that we should go see. Give us an email at centralp4@gmail.com. So we got Scrubby's Beer at Gmail. They can get a hold of you as well. So,
Yep.
Emery, this is I've been looking forward to this, and I'm glad you decided to come up here and sit down with us. I'm getting a little parched.
I am.
So tell us about your first beer
All right,
we're going to
so,
be trying.
what we have here, I should start by saying all of our standard beers are named after bowling terminals.
I saw that.
So again, this is a no-brainer. I mean, really, when we put this together, everything just fell into place beautifully. We didn't have to think about the beer names. It was tough finding enough of them, but they were there. Everything about it worked out really. Our tap handles are little bowling trophies. It just happened. So you didn't have to think. So our first beer here is called Average Booster, and I brought this because it's a very important beer for us. We are in a bowling alley, and before we opened, Jess and I set up shop in there, and we poured for an entire week. Talked to people, got to meet everybody that comes in for the leagues, poured them beer, talked to them about beer. All we heard was, I am not drinking an IPA. I hate them. And I tell you, everywhere we go, we pour it at golf outings, we pour festivals. As long as it's not an IPA, I'll drink it, right? And we saw Land Shark just coming in because the bowling alley was BYOB before we moved in there, which was a hurdle for us. So I'm like, well, I'm going to make a Land Shark. Have to. It was an experiment. I made 4 batches of it before I settled on this. I went through ale corn, ale rice, lager rice, and then I tweaked it enough, and that's what we have here. And it's a 4.3% beer. It is for the people that like Miller Lite, which I think is probably the most popular light beer around here, or Land Shark, Corona. We'll throw a lime in it if you want. And honestly, I like this beer. I can drink this and still enjoy it because it does have character.
Easy drinker.
It is. And it's got enough malt that it's interesting to me. It does have rice in it as an adjunct. But yeah, I'm really happy with it. It is an ale, which is different. To me, it tastes like a lager. It's smooth, it's soft, it's very approachable, and people dig it. It's our gateway beer.
So this is mainly one of your staples.
Number 1 on the tap list.
Right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Average Booster, American Light Ale.
It's light.
Is what it is.
It's light, but it has flavor. I do get the sweetness of the malts in it. Now, if you compared it to like a Miller Lite,
I've not had them side by side,
but
I'm happy enough with it that
Land Shark,
it's good enough.
Corona.
Sure.
This is an easy drinking. If you're out in the yard, you don't want to get hammered.
Mm-hmm.
I would go for this over any of those other mass beers. So
I would hope so.
kudos.
Thank
This
you
is a good
much.
beer.
Yep.
Now you brought it in a bottle. It's in front of you.
Yeah, I pulled it out of the taps this morning.
So unfortunately, we're going to have to drink that so it won't go to waste
Yes,
before the end of the night.
We're gonna have a lot of beer left.
Holy shit. We are going to get hammered on a Monday night
I don't know
or
about
Tuesday night.
I don't know, but you don't even know what night it is. I mean, you're already hammered.
Nah, it's been a long.
Yeah.
So, oh shit, you know what? I forgot for the other night here.
Oh,
Yeah, we can do that. So you got into a bowling alley. You're brewing out of your house. You brought a book. You showed us to us.
Mhm.
And what made you make that step that you wanted to do this professionally?
I got to tell you, I don't know. I think it's addiction to the possibility of failure or the challenge. It was a big puzzle. I don't know why I did it. It's just one of those things. I was just turning 50 something. And I remember thinking, well, you either make a turn now in your life or you're going to stay on the same path that you're on, forever. So I figured, why not give it a shot? The worst thing that could happen is you fail, you turn around, you go back. And it was a huge risk. I was a home brewer. I'm not trained. I'm not different. I went at this just really hoping and praying that the recipes that I had at 5 gallons were going to translate, that I'd be able to use the equipment, that people would come, that everything would work, that I'd have enough money, and then
support it.
Throw in COVID and hope that you make it through that and everything. But why? No one's ever asked me that, and I don't have.
So what was your previous, or are you
Oh,
still
boy.
doing
Oh,
it?
my goodness.
Or is this your full-time gig?
So I've been self-employed since the 90s, I guess, early 90s, 92, I think. I was a graphic designer, and I became an illustrator. I guess I was always an illustrator trying to be a designer. And the people I worked for found out I could draw, and I no longer got design work. So I was an illustrator, and I got fired, and I started my own business as an illustrator and did that forever, and I loved it. I mean, I still do, but my wrists are shot from all the because
Right.
it's all on the computer. It's
Yeah.
all digital. So around 2001, I started a support business for Macintosh because at every job I ever had, I was fixing the Mac computers.
That's up Dave's alley too.
I hardly do it anymore. Don't ask for my help. So yeah, that was nice. Well, part of that was because I realized I needed to see people. I was not leaving the house. It was one of those things where I've got to get some social interaction or I'm going to go crazy. So I did this to just get out. And then 2011, I remember I have a friend, Jill, and we were over at the Allegro wine shop tasting room over in York, drinking wine like we usually do. And the next day I got an email from Allegro saying, we're looking for tasting room help. And Jill had just lost her job. And I said, Jill, you should apply for that job. Not for me. You should apply for that job. Oh, no, I'm not hired. Like, I know it. And you can ask Carl Helrick, the owner there. At the interview, I told him and that might be why he hired me out. But I had a beautiful relationship with Carl and all the people over there at Allegro for 10 years. And that was it. That's all I did. So it's working at Allegro felt like self-employment almost. And everything else I did, I was doing myself anyhow. So the idea of running a tap room, running a brewery, putting this all together, it wasn't really foreign to me. It's natural.
Because you were in it. So
yeah, I mean, I'm not afraid of projects. I kind of like them. So this was just a big project.
So you're talking about your system. So when you said with the first beer we had, you went several recipes.
Mhm.
How big were those recipes, or were they just you're doing the 5 gallons, or were you doing a whole?
No, I don't pilot now. So I had a handful of recipes that I brought with me, but most of the stuff that we're tasting today is stuff that I developed out of necessity once I got to the 3-barrel. So yeah, it's every batch is a risk. Every time you make a brand new beer for me, it was very scary. I had just opened in July last year. And I'm like, oh crap, it's Oktoberfest. I need a lager. There's not enough time to make a lager for September once you open
Right.
in July. So I made it with ale yeast. I used Kolsch yeast, and it worked out really well. People loved it so much that I did it again this year. And I had the luxury of lagering. I had the time, but I still went with the Kolsch. So anyhow, that was a recipe that I built on the fly just by doing research, tons and tons of research. And then same with the pumpkin beer. Same with the bourbon oak. Same with the winter ale. Same with the foundation IPA. Like these are just beers I had to have. And I didn't want to trust anybody else's recipes. So I kind of, used my best hunches to get it done.
Well, that's cool. I mean, you didn't copy anybody. You went on your own.
For a lot. So a lot of my recipes, I should back up a little bit and say I'm a purist. I like traditional beer styles made well. I don't typically fruit my beers. I don't do
You don't sour them.
Banana, walnut, hazel, triple, continuously hopped, whatever. I like traditional recipes. So I wouldn't call it stealing. I would call it just using. So some of these recipes, like I have a golden ale that I didn't make that up. That's a standard, so I just use that. And I've tweaked it to make it work for my system and for me. But it's I would say I'm a mix of recipes that are classic and shouldn't be tampered with, and then recipes that I develop for myself.
Yeah. So, and I think that's what we've discussed a lot is there are only so many beer styles.
Mhm.
but it's how the brewers take that original style and make it their own.
Yeah.
What makes it unique.
Jess and I were just somewhere ordering beers, and we ordered classical style beers, and they come out and they were really experimental, but they were still called a traditional style. I'm like, no, that's duping me. Now, when I order this, I want this. I don't want it with some crazy new Victoria's Secret hops in it, like something like that.
It didn't come out with lingerie on it.
I might have liked that.
So you mentioned you're from Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
You like everything Cleveland.
I never got into the Cavs.
Never got into the Cavs,
Yeah.
so I don't watch basketball.
The only team that was ever any good.
My son was a big LeBron James, so he always, wherever LeBron is, he's a big LeBron. So your Cleveland Guardians are playing my Yankees right now.
We need an update.
Yeah, I know. I'll have to figure out that update. But the Phillies won today. They got past Atlanta. Then Houston was getting beat too while we're making this recording. So we're going to have a little odds here. I mean,
I'll make a wager with you.
I don't bet. I mean, but
I work in a bowling alley. I gamble.
Yeah, so you gamble. Yeah. So working in that bowling alley, you find it's you've established it now that the people come to you for the beer.
There was quite a bit of resistance early on, I think, because, like I said, we were BYOB and they had a culture there. People were just used to bringing in coolers, and now they can't do that. So early on, I think we were met with some resistance, but now I think we're over that. It was actually astonishing when the bowling league started up this year, which was just last month. I was shocked how many more people were drinking so much more beer. We would have leagues with 1 or 2 drinkers in it last year, and now the whole league is drinking. So they warmed up to us, I guess, or everybody's really thirsty now. Maybe that's what it seems like to me. I can't tell.
It probably took a while for them to get used to the fact.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's great how that came about. You didn't have to go out and find your own brick and mortar.
Yeah.
And it just fell into place for you.
It feels right.
And that's what makes it work.
It's small, but it feels right.
And they say you never work a day in your life if you enjoy what you're doing. Our conversation, I can tell you're enjoying this.
Everything, yeah. Always. I mean, since I got fired, I'd say, I've been calling my own shots and doing what feels right. Whether it's illustrating or helping people with their computers or making beer. My ex-wife told me I had a job for fun, and I think she was serious. I think that bothered her, but I do. When I got hired at Allegro, she said that. And I was like, yeah, it is fun, but why wouldn't I? Why would you have that opportunity and that choice? Why not?
Yeah. So are you canning, or are you looking are you looking to expand into that? Or are you just going to keep looking at doing what you're doing and making it work?
Okay. So I get that question probably 2-3 times a day in taproom. We're small. We're 3-barrel electric system. We don't make a lot of beer, and we serve everything through the taps at the bowling center. So today I went in there to fill 4 750 milliliters of beer to bring here, right? I made a mess, and it took me half an hour because I had to change the taps to make, get the hoses to fit and all that stuff. I don't want to put my staff through that. So we don't do growlers.
Okay.
I would consider a crowler, but we're small. That takes up maybe this much space. For us is a lot. So no packaging. And if you want it, you got to come
and get it. Yeah. Get it.
Or come to my garage when the garage door's open.
When the garage door's open. We were talking about that with that down. So as far as your sports go, what's your favorite sport that you watch?
Football.
Football.
I would say, yeah. I love baseball. And actually, I was thinking about this the other day. Like, if I had my choice for Indians to win the World Series, Browns to win the Super Bowl, what would it be? Because in my lifetime, neither have happened, and it would have to be the.
I'm not a big, huge football fan. I mean, Dave, you and Dave could probably sit here and talk. If Ben was here, you guys could go off on a football tangent. I was football at one time, but out of it, the Bills were my.
There's some pain.
Back in the 90s, 0-4-4.
Yeah. I have often said Only thing worse than not going to the Super Bowl is losing.
Straight.
That's rough. Yep.
4 in a row.
Sorry about that. Now I understand why you're not a football.
Well, I kind of got away from it. I've always been baseball.
Yeah.
Baseball was always my sport.
Love it.
I
Every
loved
day,
it.
all summer long. Can't beat it.
People look at baseball, it's like it's so boring. I don't understand the game. You understand it, it's entertaining.
Yeah.
And
Well,
if you want to be out of there in 2.5 hours,
Yeah, you're not going to be
it's
out
not
there
the
too.
sport for you.
Yeah, it's not the sport for you.
You know, you were talking about understanding the game. You know, talking about football, and I'm getting to the point right now. I used to enjoy a lot. I went to a lot of the Steeler game. Not. I never paid for it. I was always there though, there with the university. But from then on, I was always into football. But it's gotten to the point lately. I mean, I watched water polo at the Olympics, not this last one. Summer Olympics before that, I decided to sit down and watch water polo. And I watched it for a while, and it was one of those things where I just didn't understand it. And all you could do is whenever someone got the ball in the net, you knew that was a point.
Mm-hmm.
But all the stuff in between it and all the whistles going, I mean, they whistle for everything. I mean, they whistle if your hair got wet. And it's just, and I never understood it, but they kept playing. Mm-hmm. But you had all these refs whistling everything. And I just didn't understand it. And I think that's what my problem is now. I'm getting to the point where I don't understand NFL football because you watch the game, watch the play, watch a running back break through the lines and he runs for a touchdown, but then you wait to see what the refs have to say. And that's the part that bothers me. It's not where you get excitement saying, okay, he just ran for a touchdown. Okay, well, let's see if the refs will let it stand or if there's something else or if there's laundry on the field scene. And I think that's where the NFL is getting with me. I don't understand it because of the fact that, you know, I understand the goal, but I don't understand all the crap that goes on. Watched the game last night where they tackled the quarterback.
I did not see that.
They tackled the quarterback. He was in the pocket, tackled the quarterback. He called roughing quarterback.
Can't touch the quarterback anymore.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that has been, the airwaves have been burning about that. Said that was a ridiculous call they've ever seen. And that's where it's gotten to.
Our tap room is a Cleveland Browns NFL sanctioned Browns backers bar.
Is it?
How did you?
Yes,
did you have something to play with?
That's a story. That's a story. I will get to that. But we were just having a conversation about this the other day on Sunday, where we're like, "Well, just throw the flag all the time. You can always take the flag back." You know, because you're exactly right. Somebody makes a touchdown, everybody holds their breath. They're like, "Oh," and we wait for the yellow to pop up. So just throw it all the time, and you can bring it back.
Yeah.
So anyhow, the story with the Browns backers. So I was a Browns backer member. I forget when we were founded, at least 7 years ago. And we used to meet at Corner Stable, which was our place to go in York.
Yep.
Loved it there. Loved people there. They were amazing to us. Judy was fantastic and her mother. And when I opened this tap room, I knew I had a dilemma because I had to work Sundays. And all my friends are going to be over at the Corner Stable watching the game together. And I'm going to be over at Scrubby's watching the game by myself. And we do have the NFL ticket, did get the NFL. So as just awful luck for them, maybe good luck, I have no idea. They shut down the month that we opened.
Yeah.
And well, the rumors just started going around like, well, they don't have the NFL ticket. So you do, maybe you can pick it up. And then I was like, I don't want to do that. I respect those people. I like those people. I don't want to do that to them. And then sure enough, new ownership took over. They did lose the ticket. So the guy that runs the thing did a vote through all the members and they voted to come to Scrubby's and there they are.
That made you happy.
It did. I mean, I love it.
Hey, not only are your friends there now they're cha-ching buying
Yeah.
your beer.
Yes, they are.
So that made it double the better. So that's pretty cool. And I'm wearing Penn State because
Yep.
I'm assuming you're an Ohio State fan.
That's correct. Yeah.
So
Not a big Ohio State fan, but by default.
by default from
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
Ohio
Yes.
State. So
He wears that. He wears that for me a lot. The thing of it is I don't have it on. See, I'm a Pitt alumnus. So
from back in the 1700s.
shut up.
Every episode, Dave, we're going to go there.
I'm thirsty.
Yeah,
Well,
I think
actually,
so too. So tell us a little bit about your next beer.
All right. So
This is a seasonal. This is one of your seasonals.
Yeah. And it's fleeting. So this is a real small batch. I made it last year. It's a 3-barrel system, which should be 93 gallons.
I think, it's around 90
Yeah.
some
So what they
gallons.
don't tell you is that 93 gallons is right up to the brim. So you can't really boil that much in there, right? So my first batches I was making were 60s. And now I can do like 85 comfortably without, worrying about a boil over. This batch is a 60-gallon. And by the time I'm done, I really only get 40 gallons because it's got 36 pounds of pumpkin puree in the boil.
Ooh.
So that is making just this really thick, pulpy, sludgy wort, which is very difficult to work with. It actually burnt out one of my heating elements when I was done making it, and it gunks up the heat transfer plates. It gets over into the fermenter and it settles out, and there's God knows how many gallons of just pulp at the bottom. So I love this beer. I love the flavor of it. It is meant to be subtle. Like I said earlier, I like traditional beers. I like my beer to taste like beer rather than allspice and nutmeg. I don't mind pumpkin because that's one of the main ingredients. I don't like spice much beyond
The other
that.
spices they throw in it.
Yeah,
Like the
and
nutmeg
so
and all
you've
that
all
stuff.
had them,
Yeah.
where they're overspiced. So this is meant to be subtle, soft.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So, Scrubby's Pumpkin Ale. I smell the pumpkin.
Taste of pumpkin.
Yeah, I think last year you may not have been able to taste the pumpkin as much, so I really circulated it in the bill this year, so it's really present.
It is, and I'll be truthfully honest. I never really wanted to try pumpkin. That thought process in my head. I like pumpkin pie. I like pumpkin bread, but I just and it was the same way with chocolate and peanut butter in my beer. But until you start tasting it and you're getting accustomed to it, actually, Emery, that is
good.
That is very good.
So we have had quite a few people come in like, oh, hell no, I'm not. Don't like them, never liked them, don't want to try them. And, we're like, well, here, we do little samples. If you come in, we'll let you sample whatever you want. Oh, that's not what I was expecting.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, that isn't what I was expecting. But this whole process of us doing this craft beer journey, we have opened our palates to stuff we never would have tried 2
I'm a
years
little
ago.
jealous.
So this, to me, I know you said it's almost like a breadiness.
Mhm.
To me, it tastes almost like a pumpkin pie.
Yeah,
I-
like the crust. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm getting a pumpkin pie out of it, and that is an enjoyable beer. Now, are you on Untapped?
I don't know. I was. I was paying for it for a while.
So you guys have to pay to be on Untapped to put your beers on?
Yeah. So here's the thing about Untapped. Hope no one from Untapped is listening. So I remember we did this first event before we even opened our doors in the tap room. And somehow people started checking our beers in, and I was totally unaware of what was going on.
Okay.
So that night, I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to claim the brewery, register the beers, I get all this stuff in there, right? So I go through all that, and I'm sitting in the tap room with people, and I'm looking at Untapped, and I'm like, why doesn't our brewery show up? I'm sitting in the brewery, and when I hit breweries near me, it's nowhere to be found. So I called them. I said, look, something's wrong with your app. I'm in the brewery looking for it, and I can Google. Not Google. That's my name for search. I'm that old.
Well, Google.
Yeah, it's the Google that's built into Untapped. So I did the search for Scrubbies there, and sure, it pops up, the beer there, everything's fine. So it just isn't, something's not connecting. So they're like, oh no, you need to be a certified venue and pay $90 a month.
Ooh,
I
we
said,
didn't know that.
yeah, right. So I was like, yeah, okay, $90 a month. If people are gonna
Check your beer in and get it out there.
well, it's not even the check-ins. They can check them in for free. They can review them, photo them, talk about them, check them in, all that stuff without me paying a dime. You're literally paying for the menu feature. Like I know if you go to lots of breweries around, you'll see it and it's got the Untapped logo.
Yeah.
The nice menus, right?
Yeah.
We don't need that because we have a pretty nice menu system as it is. So I was really paying just for the brewery near me function.
For the search.
Yes.
Oh.
And we went probably 4 months. And Jess and I asked everybody that came in, how'd you find out about us? Everybody said, well, I Googled breweries near me. Or I Googled, it was all Google. Nobody was using Untapped.
No.
So I nixed it. I'm not.
But you can still check your beers.
Right. Like if you go on there, you'll see our beers. Most of them, I'm not active on it anymore. For a little while,
I was going to check these beers in, hoping for a toast back.
You can. Oh, see, that's the thing. I wasn't doing that either. I saw that little toast thing on there, but I never got around to it. So sorry, everybody. If you checked in and I didn't toast you, don't take it personal.
No, but you can find all us, Dave, Ben, Kevin, and myself on Untapped. And it was an app that I was never. My stepson, my wife's oldest son, said, does he know there's an app for that? Of course, there's an app for everything. Dave has an app on his grill that tells him when his meat's done. And I'm like, I don't use my phone.
So does Ben now.
Yeah, and so does Ben.
Ben has the same app.
I'm still old, so I don't have that. But I'm like, okay, so I'll try this app. Well, I'm addicted now. I don't drink a beer without checking it in. And I'm a beer snob. I got to put it in a glass to even drink it. I don't know what happened to me.
Well, it tastes better in a glass.
It does.
It does taste better in a glass.
It tastes better in a glass.
And as far as that pumpkin ale, Emery, that would be a beer I would buy and bring.
Sorry.
So, congratulations.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate that.
That is a good beer.
Yeah, I'm proud of that one.
Yeah. And that's seasonal. So when you say you like just seasonals, explain some of the favorite seasonals that you like.
So we're in seasonal season for me. This is
Oktoberfest.
Yeah, this is heaven. Starts with Oktoberfest for us, includes the pumpkin. We try to do something interesting. We're doing a bourbon barrel oak porter, and we're trying to release that on November 1st. And I consider that a seasonal in that we don't carry it all the time. It's meant for Thanksgiving, Christmas, the cold months. And then we come out with Deck the Balls, which is our winter ale. Jess came up with the name for that. That's actually fermenting right now.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, I love winter ales. I love them all. I think it's only because they are fleeting. It's not something I can have in
So it's not
June.
Yeah, and I think every brewery has some seasonals they rotate their taps.
Mm-hmm. And people, I hear a lot. You need to carry the Oktoberfest all year long. You need to carry the Irish Red all year long.
It doesn't make it special.
Well, then what do you celebrate in October? I said I could make a double bock or something like that, but Oktoberfest style, the Marzen is the beer for Oktoberfest. And it's great. I love it. I can't get enough of it. That's what makes it special.
Yeah,
it's one month, one time.
Yeah, it's only here. If you do it all the time, people won't have that appreciation. There's a style that I've come to enjoy. Not a lot of people doing it. ESB, an English style bitter.
Oh yeah. I love that style, and I want to make it. And I just had a conversation probably a month ago with somebody about this. I said I want to make it. It might have been Colton. I'm over at Stony Run. Said, I want to make that, but man, if I put something up on the menu and use the word bitter, it will sit there. Like it will not move.
I'll tell you who to talk to. Brooks Haymauer.
Yeah.
Give him. He made a hell of a good ESB.
Well, his solution was don't call it an ESB, call it a pub ale.
Pub ale.
And it'll fly.
Yeah.
I was like, that's brilliant. Of course, that makes sense.
Because I was like, the first time I was up there before we doing podcasts and stuff, ESB, English, I haven't ever had that. So let me try that. And it's a style. It's in a custom taste. It's not for everybody. but I think it's just like ales are becoming some of my favorite. Porters and stouts are still good, but any of the brown ales, the red ales, anything
Yeah.
ale is something is
That is probably my favorite genre, the mid-range color palette.
yeah.
But man, they don't move. That's it. And I'm stocked. I've got a Greek Church Amber Ale. I've got a Deadwood Pale Ale. I've got Munson, named after the character in Kingpin. Brown Ale. I think there's something else in there that's also brown, including Oktoberfest. And
So if
the
I bring a
pumpkin.
couple growlers down, if you need some help getting rid of them, I'll come down and help.
If I gave it to you, I'd have to give it to everybody. That would piss me.
Well, I'll pay, but
They
I'll
will
help,
too.
I'll help get rid of it if you're saying it's
Yeah.
just sitting there.
Well, it is. It's
They're not your flyers off the
they
shelf.
don't. And I don't know what I was thinking. I made them all back to back, but now I'm really loaded.
Okay.
But that's cool. I mean, they'll go. They're good. Fine.
So how many taps are you running in your tap room at once?
So we have a 12 tap. What it's called, whatever brand, the one that you see everywhere. It's huge.
Okay.
But I committed to quarter barrels right away and found I could only fit 10 in there because they're bigger than sixtels. So a couple months in, I was like, oh crap, I gotta go buy a bunch more kegs because if I could put just 2 sixtels in there, I can fit 11 kegs. So we're running 11 taps.
Okay, so 11 taps.
Mhm.
Sixtel is the 5 gallon.
Sixtels 5.2.
And you got to have probably a lot of them.
Wait. It's a 6-tool, but it's 5.2.
It's a sixth of a barrel.
Sixth of a. I'm sorry. I just had to bring it.
Yeah. I mean, that's fine. I
No,
mean,
they can't make it easy.
I had to figure out what a sixtel was when we. What the hell's a sixtel?
It's real close to a corny keg for home brewers.
Yeah.
It's like that almost same volume.
Yeah, so that's one thing that we're going to get into. We brew kits, but our next step is to do grain and come up with our own recipes. Now, we're not going to go full bore and go look for a brick and mortar time soon, but I kind of enjoy brewing. It is like you said, it's fun.
For me, there's like a zen to it. I've often said there's basically 2 types of brewers. There's the guys that are out there and the girls that want to make something you've never had before. Something they want to throw crazy hops in and experiment and all. And that's not me. I'm more of love the process. A brew day for me is very therapeutic, unless something goes wrong, and then then it's not so therapeutic. But yeah, I really do enjoy. I always have. When I was home brewing, and I did do quite a bit of extract. I was doing 3 batches of extract in a day.
In a day,
I had it set up so I could run. I was working on 2 at a time.
Shit.
It was insane, but to me that was fun.
Dave, we'd be smashed. We'd never get past the second.
Oh, you got to make it at least to the middle of the second batch. That's the key. And I still try to adhere to that, but sometimes
Wow.
Oh, and even today I still double batch.
Double batch.
Yeah, because I figure you're getting everything out. I'm not automated. I don't have manifolds. I have little pumps that I move around and hook up for every connection. So for me to set everything up and then have to spend the 2 hours cleaning it when I'm done,
Might as well make it do it.
do another batch for 3-4 hours right after it. It's a long day. I get up at 6:30 and I'm done around 4:30 or 5. But now I got 2 full tanks of beer. It's great.
And the next day you do it again.
If I had enough fermenters, yeah. Yep.
So when you make these, when you're coming up with your original styles, I mean, how did you come up with what you wanted to offer?
I looked at every popular style of beer. I knew how many taps I had, and I knew what I wanted to offer, and I knew I didn't want to be heavy in anything. So right now we have 3 IPAs. The next one we're going to try is a Hazy IPA. That is a summer seasonal. That is not always on the tap list. We started off with 1 IPA, which is unheard of anymore.
Yeah, because most places got multiples.
Right. So it was so popular, I had to create another IPA just to defer the traffic away so that I could keep up with the demand for the Anchor, which is the one I'm referring to. And then Foundation is the one that I made up. So I had to make room for that second IPA. I think we might have been talking about this off the record earlier, that we're catering to two groups in our tap room. We have the bowlers who want all the light stuff, and 3 beers in that category. We have the one that we sampled, the average boost. We have the Golden Ale Messenger, and we have a beautiful Belgian wheat called the Sandbagger. So that is what most of the bowlers drink, and there's plenty of guys out there drinking IPAs and everything else, but that's the mainstay there. And then you have the craft brewery enthusiasts coming in on the other side, and they want the brown mild and the IPAs and the
They're doing
stout
what we
and the
do. We want to
Belgian.
try it
Yeah.
all.
Yes, and so we've got to cover it all,
Yeah.
and that was the goal, to be able to do.
And
that.
I think that's commendable to you. You're finding out what sells,
Mhm.
what people want, and you're going to make it for them.
We've already eliminated some styles, just because they didn't fly. Kolsch for some reason.
Yeah, we won't even mention a Coke.
I gotta know.
It was another kit beer.
Oh, okay.
It's
It
the raspberry.
Oh, I
Great.
heard about that on one of your
Oh, yeah,
podcasts.
yeah. It's
Hey,
not
raspberry something.
It's
I
a
think is what you called
raspberry
it.
beer.
Yeah.
And I'll give you a bottle. You can give me your honest opinion.
We got plenty left.
There's
I got
nothing
plenty
wrong with
left.
it. Well, home brewers and brewers alike, I think they drink anything. You know, I threw away very few batches, and I suffered through it. Yeah.
It was one of them that it was. I didn't brew it with them because it was during my wife had, so they didn't like the name I was going to call it, Omicron 2. So we call it Ragtop Raspberry, and it's basically a raspberry beer. It is not a Kolsch. It wasn't skunked or anything like that. It still had a beer flavor, so I bottled it.
Kolsch is tricky. I honestly don't think anybody really knows what it's like. And I think that was the problem we had, is I think I made a pretty good German style Kolsch. Crisp. It was.
There's a nick for it. If you
Yeah.
don't hit the nick, get the people to buy it. I don't blame you for not doing it again.
I've heard a lot of people say, "Well, when are you making a Kolsch?" I'm like, I already did, and it sat here. Nobody drank it. So yeah, that whole slot, that we had a cream ale. But the thing is, like I was referring to those 3 top beers, the Pilsner, Golden Ale, and wheat. That's enough. I can't throw a Kolsch or a cream ale in there.
You're going to
It's in
compete.
that they're all the same.
They're
I
gonna
mean, to
compete.
everybody else.
Yeah.
I just don't have room for it. But what I think the plan moving forward will be to, I hate to say this, and I can't believe what I've become, but I am adding fruit to beers now for people.
So we're going to be making sours?
So I got talked into the sour. I swore I'd never do it. And I
Oh.
swore I'd never make a fruit beer. But then we started going to these festivals, and Jess and I would take Messenger and Greek Church and their beautiful traditional beers. Nobody would drink them because over there is a raspberry wheat, and over there is a something sour, and over there is some jalapeno thing. And that's what people want at festivals.
Because they're craft beer enthusiasts.
They want to taste something they've never had before. Right. So that's out of my comfort zone. That's out of my wheelhouse, but I'm forcing myself to do it. So here, for example, we are going to Verdunken Oktoberfest on Friday, and we're taking 10 kegs.
10 kegs.
It's supposed to be a big whoop. So of those 10 kegs, I have a Pina Colada Ale.
Wow.
Which I already served once, and it went over huge. It's something. A ginger lime. Oh, the Pina Colada might have been a wheat. Pina Colada is a wheat.
Okay.
And then the ale is the ginger lime. I have an IPA with pineapple. So these are things I would never serve with.
Ginger lime might sound interesting.
Tastes like ginger ale.
Yeah.
Or actually, like a Moscow Mule. More than that. And so you can kind of see my pattern here. I'm modeling my experimentals after mixed drinks.
Yeah.
Moscow Mule.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Right. I like them. I might even drink that.
Yeah. So, and we've had some that are like that. And sells enough, you put it as a seasonal rotation.
Yeah. Or just a festival thing. But I think that's what I was getting at, was that I'm probably going to brew cream ale again and just dose every keg with a different fruit, and that will be my festival beer.
That'd be
Just take
cool.
it around.
So, like you said, we met down at Brew Kids on the Block. Kind of got in with that from Jason from.
Mm-hmm.
We had a blast.
I love Jason.
Yeah,
Kudos.
he is awesome.
He's a great guy, and he's a spokesman for local beer. I mean, people go to him. He is the guy.
Yeah. And so that Brew Kids, apparently it was in the past, and they're trying to integrate it. Is that the first time you were there, or
we probably weren't open the last time they did it? So yeah, that was our first.
So, and you're going to a festival this Friday. Unfortunately, episode will be released on Saturday.
Yeah.
So, Oktoberfest is winding down. I don't think there's a lot of festivals that are still left this year, or is there?
There's another one on Saturday, which we decided not to do because we were doing Fridays, and Fridays is so big. It's in York. I can't remember. I know.
Oh, you know what? Is that the one out the fairgrounds?
Yorktoberfest.
Yeah, that's one out at the fairgrounds. Yeah.
Wanted to do it, but it's just too much. And right before we came here, I got up for another small little festival, down, I think. And Jess and I sat there. I was like, we come off of this big festival. We're already busy. We actually are on the work schedule that day. You want to do it? I'm like, oh, let's do it.
Now, is it just you and your wife?
We do the festivals, yeah.
But who employees do you have at your tap room?
So we have Rachel, who the next beer is named after. She's
Okay.
our primary. So this, again, I mean, I can't tell you how lucky we've been. She kind of came with the place.
Oh,
and it was
2 for 1 deal.
Yeah. We got 3 because her sister-in-law also works for us.
Oh, that's awesome.
So here's what happened. We realized probably in August, after opening in July, that we were going to burn out quick.
Yeah.
And I remember that, like, first days in the tap room, somebody said, don't make the mistake of being here all the time, thinking you've got to hire people. So we set out to hire people, and we put out Indeed or whatever to get, and we were interviewing people, and we had some really nice candidates. I was shocked. And then Rachel, hey, I wouldn't mind taking the shifts. Oh my gosh, of course. So she's the daughter-in-law of one of the brothers that owns the bowling alley. Okay. So she's our primary in that she works every Monday, every Wednesday, and every Saturday. And, she's perfect.
Great.
And then her sister-in-law is like, I'll take some shifts. I'm like, oh, sure. That's even better. So we have 4 people like her now. So that Emily is the sister-in-law I'm referring to. We have Tony, Chuck, and Kim and Emily, and they all do Sundays. They rotate. So they're current. They work once a month. Something changes, they're there enough to, be aware of it, that they can step in if needed. So we're blessed with a pretty rich staff.
Right, speaking of that, how many days are you open? Are you open 7 days? Every day.
Yeah. Every day. It changes. And I wish it didn't. I wish it was easier to describe, but it's not. So,
This has been a pivoting part for a lot of places. Jeff Lau from Mudhook said it.
I remember him
pivots.
saying that. Yeah.
It pivots depending on what he can get help.
It's hard. And for us, it's not a matter of getting the help. It's a matter of just, you don't want to be there when there's there.
Yeah.
You don't want to open up at 2:00 and sit there.
So typically what's your average?
We are 5 to 10.
5 to 10.
Sundays we're 12 because we do NFL hard.
NFL ticket.
Yeah.
The Browns, whatever you call
and
it.
whoever else. Yeah.
Just come there and watch football.
Yep.
Drink some beer.
Saturdays
maybe go out and throw some
yeah.
Throw some frames at the
chuck some balls.
Yeah, so
yeah.
But it sounds like a good time. I'm getting a little parched. I want to try your next beer.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
do that.
but before you do that, I just wanted to the Yorktoberfest.
Yeah, Yorktoberfest.
That is at the park complex.
Oh, so it's not at the fair. Okay.
Fairgrounds.
Oh, they changed it.
Unless, depending, I'm not, wherever the Memorial Complex.
On, I think South George Street. It's off South George,
Okay.
I believe.
Yeah, I saw that. And, we would love to do some more of these festivals because we had such a great time out there at gift tours.
that was awesome. I thought it was interesting that you guys were there. Were you casting live or was
We
that-
were
Yeah,
live.
I love that.
And
Yeah, cool.
like I said, we did have a lot of technical. It was our first attempt at that. We've never done anything like that. And we said, well, let's, and we don't like to go out and look like amateurs. We're still amateurs. But
You
we,
looked pretty pro to me. You had microphones and headsets. That was enough.
but we never did it. It's like, okay, so let's go try this. We have the equipment that we attempt it. But if we'd had good internet connection where it was solid because it was a live stream. Now, Jason Gift Horse was letting us on their business side of it, but because we're chewing so much bandwidth up by Wi-Fi, it would cut out.
Yeah.
All the noise was affecting the Rode mics wireless. So I don't know. We're going to give it another try, but we're going to figure it out to see if we can, because we had such a great, of anything, the broadcast might not have been the greatest, but we made a lot of connections. At you.
Yeah. No, I was thrilled to meet you guys that day.
And then I think Ben said we got contacted from that somebody wanted us to come out and do another one, but they were like north of Philly near New York. It's like, no, it's a little out of our realm.
Yeah.
But, it was fun. So if we can make this happen with more of these beer festivals, it's great. And, Dave and I were talking, we could do this. If we don't even just do it live, just do a walking room.
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool.
And just put it out as a release.
I can't imagine any festival wouldn't want it.
Yeah.
It just sounds like a good fit.
Yeah, so we're happy to meet you. So tell us about your next one.
So the Murky Haze. I don't even know what brought this on. I think people were asking me to make a hazy, and I had never done it. And this is where Jason from Gift Horse and Colton from Stony Run come in. I would tell you what, Jason came in to the tap room with his friend Josh, probably within the first week, introduced himself. And I told him, I said, well, you guys are the two best brewer friends because I don't have any other brewer friends. From the story I told you before, right? So, and I told him that story. I come in the tap room, I'll tell you that story. So, Jason and Colton kind of coached me through this. How much of this to use, what to use. It wasn't specific. They're just like, this is the nuts, this is the skeleton, and you put the meat on it. So I did. And it's beautiful. It was supposed to be close to 7%. And what do we have here? It's 5 points, maybe 7, I think. I had a horribly stuck mash. I don't know if you guys know what that is or.
Yep.
My goodness. So in my tinkering and my creating this recipe, I put, well, first of all, a hazy it has a lot of flaked grains in it, like breakfast oatmeal. And what I basically did was make about 80 pounds of oat in my mash tun. So when it came time to sparge it, the water just went through. It just totally solid. So that was a mess. It was a nightmare. It finally, 2 hours later, I finally got it into the boil. And it's weaker because I didn't have the efficiency that I was expecting, but it's very good.
Hazy's a New England now.
Yes,
New England
yes,
style.
it is. East Coast, New England style. Yeah.
So where does this Murky Haze? I used to be a bowler.
So it's not okay. I did say that our beers are named after bowling terminology,
right?
Except for the seasonals. The seasonals get named appropriately. Get named Pumpkin Ale, Oktoberfest, something descriptive so that people can identify them. This one had a working title, Strange Haze, because I'm born in the 80s. I'm a Smiths fan. Strange Haze, here we come. That was what I was thinking. And then I walk into the tap room all the time, talk to Rachel, and I use the word murky. That's a little. She giggles every time because that's her maiden name, right? So I planned it so that we released this beer, and I think I told her it was going to be Strange Haze. Released it, put it in there, so she could have to put the placard up herself and reveal the name of this beer, and that's where it is. And she loves it. Her family really enjoys the hazy. It's her favorite style of beer, I should say that. So it was perfect.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
So murky haze.
Cheers.
Cheers. Definitely has the hoppy IPA, that hazy that you should have.
So this beer should come off as not bitter.
It is not bitter at all.
It's the largest bill of hops that I do. Like on here, it's 123 ounces of hops. And if you look at some of these other ones, the last one was 16 ounces. I think the other IPAs that I make that aren't hazy, something like maybe 60 or 70. And as I was developing this recipe, because it was the first hazy I had made, I could not figure that. So I'm looking at this. I'm like, there's so many hops, but the IBUs are so low. They're clocking in at like 30. And this is twice the amount of hops I'm putting into beers that are clocking in at 70, 80. Okay. So then I start looking at the process and I get it. These hazy recipes skip the bittering process entirely.
Okay.
It typically in a batch of beer, you throw in hops very beginning of the boil, 60 minutes.
Yep.
And those are your bittering hops. And you may put in some call for 30, 15, 10, 5, or whirlpool. Whirlpool being when you flamed out and done and you're putting it in there in the whirlpool.
As it's settling down.
As it's settling, correct. Yeah. So this beer didn't even have that. This beer, I dropped to 180 before putting it.
So you did it near the end of it.
Way past the end.
Yeah,
way past the end. So what happens is you're putting just boatloads of hops in here. More hops than I've ever seen. But you're not boiling them, so they don't turn bitter. You're getting the aroma and that green, fresh, flavor of the hops.
Yeah, and I'm looking at them, and we've come to learn that certain hops like Citra and Mosaic are going to bring a certain citrus, pineapple and stuff like that, more of a sweet citrusy to it, not that bitter pine cone.
Absolutely, the alpha acids.
Yeah, the grapefruit.
Yeah. So when I put this together, I was like, well, let's see what hops people. Yeah. Like what were the common ones, and that's it. I don't experiment with these new strains of hop oils or anything. You look at my list, it's going to be Cascade, Citra,
your typical stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be the stuff that
you know.
Yep, exactly.
And it's going with what you said. You're making traditional styles. You're not going to over exploit it.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to stick to what sells. Why make something that's not going to sell?
Why take the risk?
Yeah.
These are proven hops. People love these flavors. The Citra in particular. I mean, my gosh, that is probably the most popular hop, at least in our.
And that's a very good hazy. So, Dave, let me get your opinion because you are not the IPA guy.
I am not the IPA guy.
I could drink that. I would drink that. And I will drink that.
I have drank more of it than I thought I would. Because I'm not necessarily an IPA.
We have 4 bottles sitting on the table that we have to finish. Emery says we have to finish these before tonight.
Yeah, I can't travel with full bottles.
Okay. You and Emery's just before I go home. That's all right. I like that. Actually, this IPA, I am not a fan of IPAs in general, but I've run into quite a few IPAs I would drink. It does taste pretty good.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's murky.
Oh, I love the way it looks. It's grapefruit juice basically.
It looks like it looks like it's a juice sitting in them that you just come out from the store. Yeah. What's that high end grocery store that everybody goes to? Oh, those things called. They're on commercials on TV.
There's one in like.
But I mean, they probably sell juices in these fancy bottles like so. No, that's a very good.
You're talking about Wegmans?
I think.
Well, not Wegmans. What's the other one? Whole Foods. That's the one I'm.
Yeah, Whole Foods. That's an Amazon.
Is it?
Yeah, they were bought by Amazon. It's you can actually buy stuff online through Amazon. I was thinking of Wegmans.
Yeah. So we got some beer news with John. I think we had spoke about this before we sat down.
Yep.
One of the tap rooms in downtown York closed up this past week. October 8th was their last day. Old Forge closed the tap room.
I was
It's a
shocked to hear that.
Yeah, it's a shame to see them go. Now, I don't know if that meant they're closing whole operation, but just the tap room was only listed, so I'm hoping they keep up operation. I think they're in Lidditz or Lebanon, something like that, is where their mainstay is. And Hour is having an Oktoberfest on Saturday at his tap room, which that's when this episode will be released. So that is October 15th.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, your other one's
I think
on
I'm
Friday.
free, right? Yeah.
You got time Saturday. And then I think the breweries in PA is winding up their big home brew competition they ran all summer. Did you ever get in any home brew competitions when you were doing
No.
this?
I learned this at Allegro. Carl, the winemaker over there, never entered competitions. He said
Okay.
they're all crap. It's all popularity driven. And I suppose that's true to an extent. And I'm busy. No, I don't want to deal. Life's too short.
But they're ending that up at the Rusty Rail there in Mifflin. So that's I think there was 5 regions they ran, and I think
I love to go taste them.
Oh,
I'm not going to compete.
Yeah, I think that's great when they can do like that. Like that festival we met you at. I mean, it was just great to go around.
Yeah.
You had established breweries, you had home brewers, so you get to taste it all.
That was a really unique setup. And what I noticed right away was all the home brewers, when you went to taste their beer, they were giving you specs and details. And I use this, and like they're so proud, and understandably so. And I love that. Their passion for what they were doing was extreme. Where you come over to ours and we're like, oh, here's this.
Here's my murky haze.
Yeah, have at it. So I was really impressed with the enthusiasm.
And that I could see the enthusiasm with you. You're still carrying it.
Oh, I love it. I love beer. I wouldn't be. This is where I belong.
I think you found it. Everything we've had here, this has been great so far. Every beer we've tried, and there's plenty more on your list that we're going to have to go down to Scrubby's, and we're going to have to sit there. Maybe not for the NFL ticket. Maybe we'll come down and watch a Yankees and Cleveland Guardians.
Oh, I'd love that. Yeah. There might only be 3 of them.
Yes, but we'll sit there and drink them. One other place that they can find us is the Hopped Up Network. It is out there. We are listed under the podcast, so you can go out to Hopped Up Network and find us out there. Again, with all our listening platforms on Apple, Spotify, Google, and all our social media platforms. Look us up at Central PA Pour. And again, you can look for Scrubbies where? Where can we find Scrubbies, Emery?
Only in Red Lion.
Only in Red Line. Now, at Lion Bowl is the name of the bowling alley.
Officially, I think it's the Red Lion Bowling Center, but it is commonly referred to as Lion
Bowl. So you can go in there. You can take your friends.
Have some snack bar food.
Snack bar food. Yeah. Go to the brewery, get tap room there, and not the brewery. I can't call it a brewery. It's a tap room.
Right.
And get some great beer. Have some fun. Do they do like midnight bowl or like glow pin bowling?
I think glow bowl is like Friday or Saturday.
Friday
I can't remember.
Is it usually full?
You can't predict it. You can't predict anything anywhere. That's one of the things I've learned. Like we, for no reason, will have a full house of bowlers or a full tap room out of the blue. You can't tell. So there's a consistent, a group, so the same group, but a lot of people coming in and out. But
I tell you what, you're coming up into the winter season now.
Mm-hmm. That's bowling season.
Bowling season, and more. There's not a lot to do outside, so I think you're going to start to see it more. There'll probably be a big influx of people.
Yep. So one thing I want to push, I only plug
it,
and it's not necessarily the plug. It's a public service announcement. If you drive by the bowling alley and the parking lot is full of cars, those are bowlers. The tap room is usually empty, and I can't say this. I can't explain this enough. Almost every full house league, the tap room is entirely empty because I think people come by, see all the cars, and like, oh, I'm not going in there.
Never stop.
So yeah, don't stop. Come on in, check it out.
Yeah, check it out.
Yeah.
And I will vouch because back in the day I used to bowl in league. I wish I bowled in a bowling alley here during. I would have probably been drinking and wouldn't have bowled as good either.
You don't know that.
Yeah, I do. But going to a bowling alley, no matter when it, and not just every day, get good quality beer. That's what we're all about. Not like I think I said we were talking. I can't go anywhere and have a beer without it being poured in a glass. I'm a beer fucking snob.
Sure.
Yeah. I went to a comedy show. It was a BYOB.
Took your own glass.
I took a glass.
He took his
Yeah,
glass.
yeah.
I didn't take a red Solo cup. I took a glass. So yeah, I'm a beer snob.
You go into this is far cry from a long time ago. Head start.
I'm not even going
bubble.
to. I'm not going to touch that bull.
I remember going in and asking him for what kind of beer you have, and he says, well, "We have Miller Lite."
Yingling Lager was always in
Yingling
my
Lager.
Yingling
He
or
says-
Boston were my two go-to.
He says, "You have anything else?" And he says, "Yeah, well, you can get it in a can, or you can get it in a bottle.
Yeah.
Take your choice."
Two styles. Yep.
There is some Miller Lite that was somehow up in my fridge up there, so that'll need to get out of there. It was like we talked about on Taps the other week. I was mowing the lawn. Somebody left a Bud Light line. Actually, a couple. So I checked it in while I'm mowing the lawn. And my description was, this is what you need to do when you need to empty the fridge of bad beer to put good beer in it. Check in a Bud Light Lime. Sorry. Anybody that likes Bud Light Lime.
Yeah.
Hey, the first one's not so bad.
I'll tell you
Yeah.
what, I was pleasantly surprised. I walked out into my garage and the beer fairy came. Yeah, there was beer in there for the different, and it was after the second can, and I said, I don't remember buying it.
Oh, you were drinking my
I was
beer?
drinking your beer.
So I have this big party, Emery, on July 4th. And about 75, 80 people usually show up. It's a washer tournament. Ever throw washers? So it's all day we do washers. Now, for the last 10 years, I've been doing a huge fireworks show. So I cleaned my two fridges in my garage out, and Dave offers me a place to take them there because Lord knows everybody here is going to, if they see it, they're going to drink it. One young lady brought me some stuff from South County because she works there, and I just stuck it in the fridge. At night, I go for them. Holy shit, they drank my beer.
All of it.
All of it.
Of course.
Gone.
Yeah,
All of it.
course.
Not knowing, the next day, my wife said, well, I put that in the fridge inside. So I didn't know. I was blaming everybody for drinking the beer she brought me. So, I mean, I think it's great. This was great. I'm glad we got to meet you. We're glad we could have you here. Our next step is to get a date and visit Scrubby's.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe get to your house to see the brewery process.
Sure, love to have you. Yep.
Go to the tap room, and that's going to be on Dave because he's the filming person of that.
I'm the film crew.
You're the film crew.
I am the film crew.
And he's the film crew with the gaff
I
and
can relate
all
to
that
that,
stuff,
yeah.
right? You're going to be the one holding the gaffer out there.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
It's me.
So that'll be our next step. So this has been great. I've had a lot of fun. We've learned a lot about you, your passion for this craft beer. And I mean, do you, as far as the beer names go, we kind of established that. Since you are an illustrator, do you draw up maybe a design to hang up?
So the whole design thing, like if you look at that list that I gave you, all the names are, they're different. They're creative.
And that's what you need to be.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't know how somebody at my scale with my budget could do what I've done without being a designer, without being a hack electrician, hack plumber, just having some mind for financials. You really have to be able to wear all those hats. But really, the design one is huge. I think every day I use that, whether it's putting out a new little poster in the tap room or coming up with doing the menu for the snack bar or whatever. It's really handy. And
I
it
think
makes
that's cool.
it's a polished look on everything. It's consistent. It makes a big difference.
I think it's cool. You had mentioned in your little questionnaire, like certain aspects, we already established Cleveland sports.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a lot of time for fishing.
I love to fish, but we were supposed to. Well, We were supposed to go to Aztec again last weekend. Is that when Ian shut it down? I think it last.
Yeah, week and a half,
Yeah.
2 weeks ago.
So yeah, they shut it down. It's. I realized a long time ago. I like to do things that I can drink while I'm doing them, and fishing has always been one of those.
Driving's been
Driving, yeah. Driving on a golf course, maybe that'd be about it.
driving on a golf course.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yep. So yeah, I love to fish. I just haven't had.
So, what's your favorite? I mean, do you like? So, assuming you like saltwater fishing.
For the long time, I was a cat fisherman on the Susquehanna. We would go down to the Holtwood Dam
at nighttime and just
Oh my
cast
gosh,
it. Just
yeah.
sit there with a few beers.
Oh yeah, yeah. Until the sirens came on and they ran you out, which has happened almost every time. Which might be why we stopped doing it. We had a beautiful spot. I don't think many people knew about it. You have to climb out onto the rocks. We called it the living room. It's like God put it there for us.
That's good.
Right in front of the waterfall, and it's the catfish. And couldn't help but catch them.
Yeah.
So we'd have a blast, and that just stopped happening. But me and my two buddies go down to the beach every spring and every fall, trying to catch rockfish, drum, as they're running up and down with the.
So, tell us again about where the name Scrubbies came from. It was your grandfather.
Mhm.
He had a old bar.
It was a bar that I grew up in Lorain, Ohio, maybe a mile and a half from my house. And I wish there was a better story for this, and I might make one up someday. Because people ask, where's the
Whatever
name Scrubby
sells,
come from,
right? Whatever
So I asked my
sells.
mom, well, where'd Scrubby's nickname come from? I said, well, he used to have to scrub the porch before he was allowed to go out with his friends. So all his friends started calling him.
Oh.
And
No, that's pretty.
That's
Hey,
Interesting.
it is
Yeah.
interesting. And, as a motorcycle enthusiast, I have a riding club.
Hmm.
You get nicknames for stupid stuff.
Yeah,
That
oh, yeah.
happens. So, and I think it's awesome that you took your grandfather's nickname, no matter how he got it, or you're paying homage to.
Yeah, being in that tap room, I had alluded to the Zen nature, the feel good that I get out of doing all this. Being in that tap room, surrounded by photos of my grandfather and my grandmother's in some of them, and my sister Laurel did the mural on the wall in there. Jess and I build everything in there by hand with some help from Sleepy over at the bowling alley, and it's good for my soul, to be. It's a nice place.
Yeah, I could see. I mean, I could see the passion you got, the enthusiasm you have. You have a love for like what I think I mentioned earlier. If you love what you're doing, you're not working a day in your life.
Yeah. I'm lucky. I'm very lucky.
I don't think you're working a day in your life. You're just having fun.
Yeah. And I bowl a lot.
Oh, so now you're a bowler too?
I was always a bowler.
Okay.
Well, again, I mean, I landed where I was supposed to be.
Okay.
So what I neglected to mention was that I would spend my afternoons in the bar with my grandfather, and my parents bowled in league. So I would go to the bowling alley and do my homework and eat sour cream and onion chips and drink Dr. Pepper because that's the only place I could get it while they were bowling. So for me to end up in a bar in a bowling alley is not a stretch.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
that's what are
Well,
they
it's Ohio. Everybody in Ohio bowl.
so you're a bowler. What's your best game you ever rolled?
I had a 296 once.
296. Wow.
Yeah, it doesn't happen often.
I had a 288
That's real good.
during league.
Yeah, this is late.
I did 10 straight strikes, and I put the process, the pressure on myself. The whole league, of course, the whole bowling alley
of course.
shuts down.
Oh, yeah.
They're all standing there watching you. He's going to do it. He's going to do it. What do I do?
300.
I hit
It's a lot of pressure.
I hit a split.
Oh, geez.
Oh, see, I didn't. I
I-
did the same thing. 10 in, and I think I hit a 6-4-6 or
No,
something.
I hit a 7-10 split, and I missed them both.
Well, that was a good shot, though. 7-10 split's always a solid pocket. So
Yeah.
they
So-
look good.
And I enjoyed bowling. It just got to be so expensive. I mean, at that time it was like $7-8 a week, which was a lot for me.
Mhm.
And now I can't even imagine paying that. What
I
you
think
got?
the leagues I'm in are 7.
17 a week. I mean, I
But
always
then you put in the gambling and all that.
yeah, the little side stuff going on. The cards you get for a spare.
we do it.
Yep.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Yep. I know how that works. The only thing I had was when they handicap. We did
I would only play in handicap.
and I'm playing against somebody that I'm giving up 150 pins to.
Hmm.
And then I have a game that I'm shooting like 60 and I'm losing every.
I agree with that to an extent, but I'm not good enough to play scratch. So
I don't mind the handicap. It's just like, okay, not the, my average was like 1.
that's good. That's real good.
But, when you're giving up 150 pins and then I'll get a oh, fuck me game.
Yeah, and they put 2 marks together and you're done.
Yeah, I'm
You're
done.
not going to be able to make
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I still got my old blue hammer,
Oh, yeah.
my Columbia.
All right, bring it out when you come.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll roll some frame.
Now, I think the last time we went, because some of the lanes around here now are all them synthetics.
The surfaces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Everybody is.
And that blue hammer does not like synthetic
it's not
oil.
reactive.
It's all from that old oil and hardwood. It would react to the oil.
It's still oiled, but the new surfaces.
Yeah,
The,
so
the balls are now designed for that surface.
Yeah, so the blue hammer, I'm throwing it like a straight ball, basically.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. It doesn't hook the way it used to. So I still suck at bowling. Did you ever bowl, Dave? Long time ago.
Yeah.
Did they actually have the pins, or did they have to use sticks and rocks?
They had a guy down there.
Okay. I'm just checking.
On the dots.
He was hanging from the side and he put it on himself.
You got any last minute comments there, Mr. Dave?
No. This has been entertaining to talk with you, and every one of these have been interesting. And what we need to do is just go to everybody and tell them, if you ever want to know how to make beer, get all the tips on that beer, all things about you need to tune into our podcast.
Yeah.
Because we have a variety of brewers with different styles and different tips that you can learn how to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Everybody does it different.
This has been great. And I think that this is something that the only other thing is I did notice that we had spilled some beer over there. I'll go wipe it up.
You want me to take my Penn State shirt off?
Yeah, so I could go wipe the beer up over there.
I see that. So, Emery, thank you very much for
you're very
joining us here today. So, again, tell us where they can find you.
Scrubby's Tap Room in Red Lion.
Red Line. So that's
in the bowling center.
Yeah, in the bowling center.
Don't be fooled.
90 Martin Street, Red Line. Scrubby's dot beer.
Yeah, seemed like a good idea at the time. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Scrubby's dot beer. But man, I thought I was bad. Technologically speaking, people are like scrubbiesbeer.com.
Everybody's
like,
.com.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, no.
Yeah.
So I stuck with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Scrubbies.beer. Yeah.
Scrubbies.beer is your web
That's
web
it.
address.
Yeah.
Look him up on social media and check his beers in when you go there. On
Please,
Untapped. He might not see it or toast it.
I might start.
Yeah, there we go.
Now that I know.
Look us up on all our social medias at Central PA Pour.
Right.
Look us up where you get your podcast. Hopped Up Network. YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are getting close to 100. We do apologize. It's been a couple weeks since we've had a release. We had some personal stuff that has happened in our lives. I'll go into it.
Yep.
And September and October just kind of got away from us. We're back, and we're going to be looking into doing some more weekly live stuff, so look for that. Ben is going to head that up. And Emery, this has been great. I want you to tell us about our Cheers beer before we get out of here.
Okay. This is a traditional stout. It's a very simple recipe. There are no adjuncts in that there's no coffee, no coconut, no vanilla. But almost everybody says, oh, this has coffee in it. But it doesn't. That's from the roasted barley. And really, it's modeled after a Guinness. It's dry. When you drink it, it should make you. That's the best way I can describe it.
That's a beer. Wants me to drink more.
They all make me want to drink more, but this one in particular.
And this is called the 10 pin.
This is the 10 pin.
And now, is this one of your staples down there?
This is a staple unless we have our bourbon oak.
And that's the one I saw
And
on the list.
that'll go. So the idea with this, obviously for right-handers, 10-pin is, you're probably right.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, it's the worst pin. It stands hard to get. Stands on a good ball.
As a 7-pin.
Exactly. So the idea here was to make another beer and call it the 7-pin that would become. I gotta get this right because I know it's a slur in Maryland. It's a half and half. What is it called? What did we used? It used to be called a black and tan.
Black and tan.
That's the slur.
Black and tan.
So now they call it a half and half. But we wanted to do a 7-10 split. That
Oh,
would be the two
there we
together.
go. So you're gonna have your own black and tan.
Yes, 7-10. But we never got it right. And I've been tinkering with it. I don't know the physics of it or whatever it takes to make the beers separate. I can't get them. So anybody who knows, let me know.
You figure that out. That would be awesome.
I know that would be a lot of fun.
So we appreciate you guys, Emery. Appreciate you coming out here, being on the Central PA Pour. If you're out there, grab a glass and raise your glass with Scrubby's Craft Brewery and the CPP crew, and let's all be bonded by beer. Cheers.
Cheers.